Hey everyone, welcome back to another video review. Today we're going to be looking at the Sharkoon WPM 500 watt power supply. Alright, and this here is the power supply. And we're going to have a quick look around the power supply first, then we get to the specifications and the testing of the power supply. So, as you can see, on the front here, or on the top of the power supply rather, there is a 140mm fan. This is an intake fan, of course. It pushes air through the power supply, which gets exhausted through the back here, through the honeycomb ventilation here, or is it? Yeah, it's honeycomb ventilation. So yeah, it's a very silent fan according to the specifications, so we'll see that later. And back here we have a power switch and the place where you plug in the power cord. Here in the bottom we have a big image with the name, Sharkoon logo, and the wattage. And then right here we see the cables. You have united cables, the 24-pin cable, 2 times 4 CPU power cable. So this one is actually, can take it apart, so you could have 4-pin CPU power cable or an 8-pin, and then you have 6+2 PCI Express power cable as well. And then we're around the power supply. So on this side you have some ventilation holes, nothing much. On this side though you have all these specifications, like the rails, as you can see. So zoom in the rails here. So there are a couple of rails, and the total power outage is 500 watts. You see here though, and this is something I'm quite not really sure about, they say that it's a high efficiency 80+ certificate. Now this doesn't look like an 80+, an actual 80+ certificate, and I looked it up on the 80+ website and I didn't find the power supply there. So I'm not sure, and I don't find any specific efficiency percentage on this power supply, so I'm not sure if it's actually been tested by 80+ and that it has been certified, because according to the specifications on the box and the manual it says that it's 80+, so that there's an efficiency of 80% and higher. No, there's no exact efficiency mentions, and this is not the official label. Plus I didn't find the power supply on the website from 80+, which has been updated like 2 days ago. So yeah, that's a little downer right there, so not really a good point, but whatever. We'll continue. I can also say that this power supply has active PFC, so that's a good thing. Active PFC is rather necessary to make this a safer power supply. Now, Sharkoon also includes, of course, a couple of things with the power supply. As you saw, this is a modular power supply, and in this rather nice bag they include power cord, 4 screws, and all the cables. Now the cables are of rather good quality actually, can't complain about that. Sleeving is good, it's very strong, though the cables are flexible, quite flexible indeed. And you can actually see the cables a little through the sleeving, but it's not a problem actually, because it's, you know, I think it's okay like that. Now what I noticed with the Molex connectors, and I like that, is that they use these connectors with the grips here, and that's very good, because you have the normal connectors without those grips. It can be a pain in the ass to actually deconnect the connectors, the Molex connectors from each other, and with this that's a lot easier. So that's a plus right there. And again, another cable, so yeah, quite flexible. I showed you guys that earlier. Now the cables, the native cables are quite good too, and I think, or I find that the 24-pin cable is actually of best sleeved quality, and that is not often the case. Mostly it's a 24-pin cable that they kind of, you know, leave, you know, mostly like you saw with the Cool Master product, with the Cool Master power supplies, you saw that they have awesome cables, you know, the flat black cables, but then they have a crappy sleeved 24-pin cable. Now the cable here, 24-pin cable here, has better sleeving than the other cables actually. Better quality, thicker also, and the 24-pin cable is also quite flexible, so very good for cable management. Now also these cables here, the other native ones, are just sleeved like the other ones that are included. The length of the cables, that's something else I could talk about perhaps. If you have a bigger case, they're gonna maybe just fit or will just not fit. So the length of the 4-pin cable or the 8-pin cable for CPU power is about 50 centimeters. So that's okay, but mostly in big cases or in big size tower cases that's too small, so take note of that. Okay, now so I've got my Dr. Power 2 connected to the power supply, so we're gonna do a multimeter test. Let's see what that gives. Alright, so that was the testing of the power supply. Testing was quite okay, I have to say. Although the power supply voltages, the voltages you saw there weren't always very close. It was 0.2 off sometimes, so not really sure there. But the biggest question I think that many of you will have is this a good power supply overall and for gaming? Well, for gaming I would honestly not really recommend it immediately. Why? And I'm going to be honest here, I don't want a fake review, I'm going to be honest. I think it's better to go with a more expensive power supply. This one's around 45 euros, something like that. So this is rather a budget power supply. Honestly, I would not go for budget power supplies when you go build a gaming system, because you'll have expensive hardware in there and you want to have it safe. With budget power supplies you have the chance of it breaking down, not being very constant, not being very efficient, etc., etc., and so on. And with gaming systems you better have a well-known brand like Corsair, Coolmaster, Antec, NMX. Those are my 4 favorites. I have used actually Sharkoon in normal builds, and that's when I recommend them. If you use just a simple workstation and you have maybe some hardware that does require a little bit more wattage, go with this. It's okay then. But I would really not put it in a system that asks for a lot of wattage, and that has hardware that is quite expensive. I would not do that, honestly. Now, also, what I was very disappointed about from Sharkoon and the fact in this power supply, I noted it before in a review, what was that 80+ certificate. I didn't find it on the 80+ website. The one I find on this power supply is not a real certificate logo. I've seen a real one on Sharkoon power supplies before, so I'm quite sure that they're either kind of faking it or, yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure. So because I don't know exactly what they planned there, and because it doesn't look real to me, I'm not convinced about that, and I don't think it's very efficient, because they say it's over 80%, but then I guess it's gonna be 80% and so much on this one and different on the other one, and it kind of sounds like me like their quality is not going to be constant in these series. So those are the biggest downsides on this power supply. By the way, note that this power supply is available in 400, 500 and 600 watts, just saying, so you know. The good parts about this power supply: it's silent, it looks good, it is modular, you have good modular cables, no more than you need. They give you 500 watts, but they are honest about the fact that they only give you 2 PCI Express cables, because there are power supplies that have more than, and I would not use that because it's gonna, the graphics cards, for example, are gonna ask more power than the power supply will be able to give. This one probably, they're honest enough to say we have 500 watts and don't overestimate the fact that it's 500 watts. Also, they give you a nice bag, but don't let the bag fool you, of course. Still about the power supply. But yeah, that's basically it. I can't really say more about that. Oh yeah, the cables, about the cables, power supply, that from the power supply, that the fact that the mode connector is a good mode connector. Also another reason why, for a simple station, or if you want to have a quick power supply to fix up an old system, whatever, this is a good power supply for that. And with the cables, you know, I would consider buying it then. I've had worse power supplies in my own system. I risked my gaming system once with a cheap €25 power supply that produced 650 watts. Yeah, I've had the experience. Fortunately, there was no problem, but yeah, I would not consider it because the power supply wasn't making weird noise. You know, the kind of beeping, scratching noise you get from power supply, you don't want that. That means that the power supply is destroying your hardware. But anyway, I'm going to conclude here and say that this power supply gets the Outstanding award. Alright, so thanks for watching this video review. Be sure to ask your questions in the comment area below, or on the forums, or on the website. Be sure to check out the full list of pros and cons on the website too. Thanks for watching this video review, and thanks to Sharkoon for sponsoring us.